And welcome and thank you for joining me for another Cookie's Tech and Talk Table, the ongoing series of the GPD WIN 2. Today in this episode we're going to discuss programs and applications, and these programs and applications that will help and assist you in making the GPD WIN system run a bit more efficiently when running your emulator games, computer games, and movies. So as you see right here, I'm going to get right into it. My WIN 2 is technically connected to an Asus monitor. Now this particular Asus monitor, which I will adjust the camera in like 1 second, is a gaming monitor. So this like little, I don't know the exact specifications of the no lag feature, but this is specifically for gaming, so there's like no lag. I don't know all the specifications behind it, so forgive me on that, but this is the monitor that I will be using in order to do the example of these programs and applications. So because the screen of the WIN 2 is so tiny, the best way to optimize this review video for this demonstration is to hook it up to a monitor and have the camera aimed at it so people can see that I'm actually using the monitor in tandem with the GPD WIN 2. So let's just get right on into it. Oh, and one more thing. All the programs that I'm going to be talking about and listing and displaying on this computer will also be in a link below to a Dropbox page to which anybody can download for free. Now mind you, these are some of the programs that have helped me when running my emulator and PC games. Some of these applications are from the original GPD first gen, and then some of the applications that I'm using now are specifically for this model. I don't have too many because the GPD WIN 2 has come extremely optimized already out of the box. So we're going to get right into it right away. Let me just adjust from the WIN 2 a little bit and go to the monitor. And I'm going to zoom into the monitor so everybody can see what it is that I am doing. Okay, I'm going to put this into some focus here. Okay. See. Okay, there we go. And zoom out just a little more. Okay, that should do us justice for right now. Okay, there, we'll go with that. And then if anybody has any questions about any of the programs and applications I'm about to put on display, feel free to continue to leave comments on my videos. Thank you very much. I'm trying to add some diversity out there for this handheld device. There isn't a lot of content so far outside of regular reviews, and so I appreciate everybody's criticism, whether it's positive or negative. And if you want to continue to see some other examples, please continue to put your input on these videos. I do respond, I do listen, and I'm doing my best to make sure that I get to everybody's comments and do a good job at showing off these examples for individuals out there that are still waiting for their WIN 2 devices. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so as you can see, I'm moving my mouse around. I'm using my USB mouse along with my USB 512 gigabyte stick by HyperX. And everything is being powered through the USB dongle, which I spoke about in a previous episode about accessories. So I like to keep things separate. Like I said, everything is all about backup. Whatever you download, please back up. Yes, this is running off of an SSD, but unlike a regular hard disk drive, HDD, at least you know that if something goes wrong with an HDD, there's a way to salvage it. There's no way to truly salvage an SSD. Once it goes down, it goes down. So make sure that you back up anything that you download just in case if you run into any mishaps. So in here, I have all of my archives, my arcade gaming, my computer gaming, my console gaming, my PC utilities, and my GPD WIN archive utilities, and my portable gaming. Portable gaming meaning the Nintendo DS emulation, Neo Geo Pocket Color emulation, Sega Game Gear, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, etc. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to go into my GPD archive and we're going to go into my WIN utilities. And so I'm going to go through some of these and click on almost all of these applications so you can see why do I have them. So the first one right here, if you can see it, it says CPU core parking. And we'll click the setup. What this does is it allocates the cores that your computer is functioning on, and it frees up any kind of memory and space and resources and reallocates them to where you want it to go. So as you see, if the cores are being used up by a different application or program and you want those resources to stop, this program can help you locate why those cores are allocated to those applications and programs, and you could do a force stop and make sure that those resources go towards the game or application that you want. This is something that I used on the original WIN. I personally did not feel like I needed to use it for the WIN 2 because it's running all the games that I play to optimum efficiency. However, based upon preference, I felt it's a good idea to have this a part of the collection. For you never know, it can actually help, you guys in what you're trying to do. So let's see, here it is. I'm going to try to reload this again. So it shows you right here, CPU core parking management. Object reference is not set to an instance of object trace at system windows from control. Okay, I am not sure what that means, but for the purpose of being efficient with this video, I'm going to move forward. However, this program I'm still going to keep in the package of other programs and applications that you can download for free through the link that I will have provided in this video on YouTube. One of you guys out there that download this can tell me a little bit more about this and perhaps maybe why it may not be running well on the GPD WIN 2. So, like I said, some of these programs I've had from the WIN 1. Some of them I have used, some of them I have not used. As of right now, this is the first time I'm actually attempting to install CPU core parking. So I felt like I haven't had the need to use it, but it was there in my folders. So moving onward, and we'll address CPU core parking. We'll go back to that in a moment. There is DFX Audio Enhancer. I did install this in my computer right here. The WIN 2 does have that, and this is the icon right here. So what this is, it allows you to change the sound effects and the equalizer settings to the normal volumes and sounds that you already have. So by right-clicking and going into recording devices, you have your normal playback device, which is by Realtek, which is the default hardware on the WIN 2. However, one thing that I've noticed, no matter how loud you raise, no matter how much you raise the volume, the speakers are just not loud enough when you put in headphones. I like to lose myself when I'm playing my video games, and so I like my volume to be a bit louder than normal, especially with my music. And I think like AVLS is activated on this at default, and so to change that, I specifically installed this program called DFX Speaker or DFX Sound, and this program has worked wonders for me. When I play my MAME emulator, when I play my Final Burn emulator, Super Nintendo, Genesis, I've enjoyed the boost in sound by this program right here, which kicks it up a couple of more notches. This will definitely be available in the download link, and so it's letting me know I put it back into the system tray. So also the crack is also there because once you install it, you're going to want to put in the patch. So I made sure that the patch is here. It's not a free program, so a lot of my programs are cracked programs. And this is nothing new. Next, DirectX. As you know, this system supports DirectX 12, and so it's already has the latest version of DirectX. But I just have it here anyway because DirectX covers a number of 3D modules and applications and drivers and settings, and from audio to 3D shading to just overall the way the computer will play 3D rendered games. So I put that folder in there just in case. So if you want to load it up, it can scan and see what else within the DirectX incentives need to go and be updated. Moving down, I give credit to the Fox in his videos for this. This is not my discovery, so I want to give reference to him. He's all about double driver. Double driver allows you to copy all the drivers on the GPD WIN 2 device or any PC device by allowing you to keep a copy of the settings that are in place. Here it is right here by loading it up, and there's a button that says backup, and then you can back up all the drivers as they are without going through the hard, without having to go through the tedious what's the word I'm looking for? The tedious maneuvers, I'll say like that, of having to reinstall all the drivers from the ground up. Everything will be backed up when you try to do an image of the hard drive. That's a better way of putting it. So that's there. And then there's the GPD WIN BIOS unlock. You can ignore this one because this is for the WIN 1. These are WIN drivers for the WIN 1, but I just included them anyway for those who have the WIN 1 and want to re-download this stuff. Is still there. I also included Magical Jelly Bean Finder, Key Finder. What this does is this allows you to assist you in breaking key codes for locked archives such as WinRAR, WinZip. I like this a lot. So if there is a password that you forgot about, or there's a password to something that you're trying to break for an archive that doesn't provide the password, this can help. This can help with that. It's not perfect, but it's a good tool to have, and it helps you recover keys. You know, and this is a trial version, so you can try it, and of course, I have a crack in there so you can crack the program and get the full version. So this helps recover keys. Let's see here. Let's see. This is another audio enhancement program called Skylake 2.9. I did not install this because I enjoyed using the DFX right here. The sound enhancer here I enjoyed a lot better. So I didn't feel the need. I needed to install the Skylake 2.9. But there's an extra option if you're trying to enhance the audio of this system because, like me, you feel like it's too low. This is another option, and of course, the crack is in here to crack the program. What emulator machine isn't complete without having Power ISO or Ultra ISO? This version of Power ISO also comes with the ability to load your ISOs. Let me open this right here as a DVD ROM drive, so that you can play it through a fake drive or a mock drive on the system. So that's what I have right here. That's what I'm running, and I can load the images through this ISO drive and run like Saturn emulator or PlayStation emulator if I decide to play the ISO like that without using it through the machine itself. So that's a good backup option to have. I find it useful. Overall, it may be unnecessary because since most emulators now can just run the ISO off the back through the program itself, you don't need to load an ISO like back in the day. This is pretty much useful if you're trying to create your own ISOs from your own games and then load them into your ROMs folder. This is good for doing that. TweakBit PC Suite Collection right here. This is the PC repair kit and driver updater. I'm just putting a forewarning to be careful with the driver updater here because it may try to update drivers that are not specific to the Win 2, thinking that because it's running a Windows program, it can run those drivers when this is a special system. You need special drivers for this system. In some instances, the drivers do work, but in other instances, can work towards bricking your system. So this is just a driver updater, and it can and can't work in some errors. I just canceled the installation just to show. But it's there as an option for anybody who's brave enough that is willing to try, along with PC Suite and Fix My PC. These are more like play off of the Norton SystemWorks where these do PC diagnostics and keep your Win2 in tip-top shape by looking for broken links, looking for broken applications, broken shortcuts, and eliminating them and just making sure that your overall Win2 is running in tip-top shape without any slowdown. Yes, and these are spyware, adware, malware free. Just want to let you know that. Then there's this. This is the Borderless Gaming. I have not had the need to use this. I've used this on the Win 1, but I have it as part of my Win 2 package. This is here to help in making sure that when you play your games, if you're not getting full screen resolution, this helps in having you get that resolution by making sure that you can remove the borders off the window and sync with the refresh rate of the Win 2 screen. Just as a side note, I have been experiencing a couple of emulators that when they go into full screen, they do not sync with the Win 2 refresh rate, or they do not sync with the Win 2 screen resolution at all. By default, the max resolution is, I believe, 1220 by 780. Don't quote me. I'm going right into there right now so I can say it right. Yeah, 1280 by 720. I said it backwards. So 1280 by 720 is the max full screen resolution of the Win 2. And unfortunately, not all the current emulators can match 1280 by 720. But for the majority of the emulators that I have experienced that I use, like MAME can match it. BizHawk can match it. RetroArch can match it. I've been having issues with Gens Plus, K Fusion, the Genesis emulators have an issue matching the 60 Hz refresh rate and the resolution of 1280 by 720. Now, if anyone out there has any suggestions about that, how can I fix those specific emulators so that they can run in full screen without being cropped or made halfway or displayed the wrong way, let me know so I can actually use those emulators that I like. Right now I'm using BizHawk or EmuHawk to emulate the emulators that cannot match the 1280 by 720 resolution. So it just may be programming with the emulator. But if anyone out there figures something else out that's different from what I'm saying, please leave a comment on this video and I'll be sure to do a follow-up when I start doing my emulator videos focusing on that specifically. So here we go, 1280 by 720. These are the settings that I left, and I put scale at full screen. There's also maintain aspect ratio and maintain display scaling. I prefer scale full screen and to override application settings so that your program can match the full gambit of the GPD WIN 2 screen. So far so good. Like I said, only a handful of emulators that I've experienced have not been able to keep up with not only the refresh rate but match the resolution. Like I said, if someone out there knows, let me know something if they know something different than what I've discovered. Now let's get into some of the important programs here. As you're downloading ISOs, ROMs, specific ROMs like Wii U ROMs for like the SimU emulator, or PS2 ROMs or GameCube ROMs, and depending on Dreamcast ISOs and ROMs, you're going to want to have your 7-zip application. For some reason, there's a greater fidelity in the 7-zip application than there is with WinRAR or WinZip. I have WinRAR here, just in case for those who really like WinRAR, but 7-zip is for those larger ROMs and ISO zip files that are multi-part, that will only open unless all the parts are together, and they need a bigger unwising tool like 7-zip to allocate all the information and unzip it correctly. Now, I also included these codec packs. I have two. There's the combined community codec pack, and then there's the advanced codecs. Now with the advanced codecs, I'm actually launching it right now. I've already installed it, but I could do a reinstallation so you can see what it looks like. This right here allows you to install any codec from DivX to MPEG-1, MPEG-2, MOV, VCD, all these obscure codes. So if it's obscure and updated codecs that are the norm, then this is the program right here for you. Now, why do I have this? I have this because it's nothing more annoying than playing a PC game that has an FMV sequence or an animated movie that is built within the programming of the game, and it won't play because you don't have the right codecs and the game is shut down or the stutter. So we go, yes we do. See, preparing to start. And this Sharp 007 advanced codecs covers your back with all the advanced codecs that you will need. It's asking me if I want to modify stuff. I don't really want to modify anything, but I'll say this feature be installed on the drive. Okay, here we go. Ended up, guess, installing extra pieces I didn't have. So that's what that does right there. I guess it found, Defender found a virus. Let's see, it must be for something. Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes when you're running Windows Defender, it'll look at some of the cracked programs, and they'll look at the keygens, and they'll mistake a keygen for a Trojan horse when it's not. It's made to crack the program so you can use it for free. Also, BizHawk prerequisites. This is important when you're running like a PS2 emulator, the EmuHawk emulator, Sega Saturn. These help run those ISO emulators a lot more smoother. Why? Because they're installing Visual C++ runtime applications, applets, and codecs, Net Framework 4.6.1, DirectX, and anything else that goes into running arcade emulators and ISO-based emulators a lot smoother and better. Also, you may want to look into the latest Vulkan driver for the Intel Integrated Graphics driver for here. On that note, and this is very important because I'm going to, while this is installing, I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent to show this, because this is an S-class priority right here. When I go into the display settings, and I go into display here, and I go into display adapter properties, I just want to make note, the dedicated video memory is 128 megabytes. If there is a way to adjust it, I do not know at this current moment. When I go into the BIOS settings, there is a lot of settings and a lot of confusing jargon, to be honest, that I am not too familiar with, that is specific, I repeat, specific to this device. Now, I do repair computers as a side living, and so I'm very familiar with BIOS and settings and moving certain stuff around, changing the settings and the file structures. I'm very well aware of that. But with this machine, because of the availability, because of it's an expensive device, and because I'm afraid of breaking it, I have not attempted to change the allocation of the dedicated video memory. So right now it's at default for 128 megabytes. In accordance to GPD in Hong Kong, this is like the max efficiency, or the way they have it at default, to run at full. But there is total available graphics memory of 4,183 megabytes. So I'm quite sure that we can change the dedicated value at some point, once someone out there is a little bit more braver than me to change it. If I had another Win2 device, I would have already made all these attempts. But because this is my only device and I'm making my videos off of this, I'm going to keep it at 128 megabytes dedicated. However, I do make a note. With certain 3D games, I have had great performance with 128 dedicated video memory, such as Tekken 7, Street Fighter 4. Notice all the fighting games. Death by Degrees, which is the Nina Williams story, which is an RPG slash adventure hack and slash that was for PS2. Certain PS2 video games that are 3D run very well with this. And for the overall majority, 3D games on the GameCube emulator, the Dolphin emulation, has run well for me. Like I said before in previous videos, it truly depends on the game that you are playing. These emulators are not perfect, and the emulators are only as good as the people who program and create it. And they create this for all of us, free of charge, and so I give a lot of respect for them for taking the time and the energy out for us, for a lot of us who don't know how to program. So a lot of my respect goes out to them. Back to the codecs, I have a backup codec pack known as Combined Community Codec Pack. This also installs codecs. So whatever the advanced codecs here by Shark does not install, Combined Community also has codecs of its own. I have been successful with this application in every computer that I've used. And it installs its own media player too, as well as other associated programs with it. This is also, once again, to assist in your emulation and PC gaming for games that have FMV sequences, animated movies, so that your games can run smoothly and don't jitter and stop if it cannot recognize a codec within Windows operating system. So this is also .NET Framework 4.0. This is just here. This is not really important since the GPD WIN 2 already comes with the most updated version of .NET Framework, but it's there anyway. I just have it there as an Easter egg. You never know. If you have to reset your Windows operating system and you need something to update it, this will help. This will help update it. I have FileZilla for those of you guys out there that use FileZilla. So everything is here. This is GPD WIN Keep Alive. This is to help optimize the micro SD card slot. This was originally, I'm going to load this one. This was originally for the original GPD WIN. I have no need to use this for the WIN 2, only because the SD card slot is already optimized from the gate. And I have had no slowdown with any of my games so far, especially my Steam games run well off the SD card. And mind you, when I click back in here and I click on properties for my Steam games on the SD card, I still have 185 gigabyte space left of 400 gigabyte micro SD card. And it's running strong, it's running efficiently, and I haven't had to download any programs for it. But I just have it there for anyone who feels they want to use it. What programs or applications would not be complete without having the latest JavaScript? This is Java right here, the installation for Java. It's taking its time right now. So while it takes its time, I will jump a couple notches down to Razer Cortex Setup. So this right here, the Razer Cortex Setup, is an application that allows you to reallocate the resources of your computer for gaming. It checks what resources the games need and how best suited can it rework your current hardware's configuration to closely match the needs and the wants of the game that you're playing. So I've used this on the GPD WIN, the original one, but I haven't had the need to use it on this one as of yet. So yes, this is the Java SE Runtime Environment 8 update. So I've used this and it's helped. It's helped me a lot. I'm going to cancel because I don't need to reinstall it anymore. So that's what this is, and I'm going to click on this. And then of course I include the Steam setup and WinRAR 64-bit. So everyone knows what this is. We don't need to really go into that. So when it comes down to the applications and programs that I use to help me keep my GPD WIN 2 in functional order, it's all about making sure that your .NET framework is up to date. Your codecs for your movies are up to date for video games, and for VLC player, that's up to date. Your C++ and all those codecs, that stuff is up to date. And you can always go through the Microsoft website for that, but I just included that stuff in here. So this is just a small example of tools and prerequisites that you want to install or update at the gate when you get the GPD WIN 2 in the mail. Some stuff comes already out the box up to date. I was lucky enough to get a version of the system that was already up to date in every way, and I didn't really need to update anything at all except for using BizHawk prerequisites and certain C++ programming updates for when I was using my Dreamcast emulator, my PS2 emulator, my PS1 emulator, and the Sega Saturn emulator. That stuff honestly is needed for ISO-based emulation. And in some cases, your Steam games. So one thing I like about Steam, when you purchase a Steam game, and I'm sure everyone already knows this, so I'm just kind of preaching to the choir right now. It will look at to see your C++ runtime. It'll look at to see what you need and what's missing, and it will automatically install that for that game. Automatically. So that's one thing that Steam is really good at. So you're going to always be up to date at some point. I would say just focus on keeping your hard drive as clean as possible. Be willing to spread about your files. I will go and install this anyway and have a desktop icon, so I'll put this off to the side. As I go back into my mainframe, like I said, I like to run my Steam games from my SD card. Then I like to run my emulation games off of my micro thumb, which is right here. I don't have it in there because I have my backup stick showing all of my utilities. But this is my 256. This is what I like to use for my emulation and my console and all of my other emulators. This has a faster read speed than the micro SD card, but since the micro SD card is already optimized on this, it might as well be somewhat similar and the same, with transfer speeds of 150 to 200 megabytes a second. I've had just a wonderful time. It's been a breath of fresh air, and I can't reiterate enough how the GPD company has truly upgraded and changed and reworked the settings with the hardware of this device so that it functions specifically for gaming. Okay, I'm going to exit this out. And the last two things I'm going to talk about. This is the media creation tool. This is when you're doing a backup of your system. I want to save people the time of having to go to the Microsoft website and just go to my Dropbox to download everything here for free, and the media creation tool is there, along with Object Dock, which I will show you in a moment what that is. But the Razer Cortex, by clicking on that, to be honest, I totally forgot my account. That's right, you have to log into this to get into the program. You can create a free account with, yes, I'm going to exit. I totally forgot. I totally forgot my password and everything for that. But this, once you log in, you will give it access to read the specifications of your computer, or in this case the WIN 2, and it will start looking at games that are compatible with this program, that it will rework the resources specifically for those games. Something to look into. You know, I put it there because it helped me very much so on the GPD WIN first generation. Now, for my favorite program, last but not least, the Object Dock. I love this program, and yes, this is the free version, and I'm going to install it. What it is, picture the scroll bar that's on the Mac laptop, and you're putting it on the Windows platform. Yes, I agree to the terms. You may install. And it allows me to put all my shortcuts of all of my games, yes, launch, onto this. Love it. Because when I'm finished, here it is. You see it right here. This is the scroll bar at the bottom. And it allows you to change the various settings of it. It loads at startup. And so when I put my emulation shortcuts here, I could just go right and tap on the touchscreen which emulator I want to start, and it goes right into it. And I don't have to keep clicking the different files and going into this and going into that and trying to launch it. It saves a lot of time. And this I save for like the finishing touches. Once I'm done configuring all my emulators, then I create the shortcuts and I put all the shortcuts on this, and then everything is done. I did that with the GPD WIN 1, but it works even better here with the GPD WIN 2. So I hope this video of the applications and programs that I use to optimize my specific machine was helpful. I apologize that CPU core parking may not be compatible with the WIN 2. I'm going to look into that, and I'll address that in a separate video. So like I said, I apologize about that. I'll look into that a little bit later, address that later. But the key programs that have helped me the most, for the WIN 2 was making sure that the C++ runtimes were updated, the net framework is updated, the JavaScript is updated, and I really like my DFX sound enhancer. I'm going to go right here and show it again. Yes, love this a lot. All of my emulation, all of my video games, PC games, etc. This program right here raises the volume so that whatever default settings is by Realtek, which is the default hardware for the WIN 2, this program will override those settings and kick up the volume a couple of notches, and I love it. It's great. And when you configure specific emulators, the DFX sound will show up as an option. So make sure that you choose this in like your PS2 emulation settings or your Dreamcast emulation settings. This will show up, and use that instead of the Realtek, and you'll experience a much better sound bass boost, equalizers for what you specified here. I'm going to go back to it. Whatever settings you have done here in the effects and the equalization and the spectrums here will show up in those specific emulators, and will complement the gaming so much more during gameplay. So thank you again for joining me with this edition of Cookie's Tech and Talk Table. I will continue to do some more content videos. Like I said, check the information link within this video, and it will lead you to the Dropbox link where all of these programs are available and applications are available. If you feel there's an application I could have reviewed, please let me know. As of right now, I'm about simplicity. Those are the programs that I've used, and some of them I don't use on the WIN 2 just because I like to keep my system clutter free. I'm only really focused on the drivers and the gears and certain parts to make sure that those things that help emulators run well are updated. I don't play movies on my WIN 2. I don't really browse the net so much unless I'm downloading ISOs, and that's when 7-zip and WinRAR and RenZip comes in handy, because when I'm downloading a torrent, I'm going to need it. And so having that handy installed, just the bare bones, works. The less you have cluttering your system, the better. And so because I'm all about backup, I like having my games on removable USB and micro SD card. I find it better so that should I have a failure in my SSD, I don't lose all of my information. So just as a side note, I'm currently running off of my 128 default. In my previous video, I talked about the 480 gigabyte SSD. I'm no longer using it only because a neighborhood pal of mine bought it from me. His WIN 2 came in the mail, and he didn't want to wait, for an SSD. He didn't want to buy one, so he gave me a deal that I couldn't refuse. He offered me $250 for the SSD for convenience, so I just sold it to him and I put back the other SSD, which I'm fine with. You know, I only paid like 130 something bucks for the 481 by Dogfish, so I just made like another $150 plus, you know, back, plus the money I spent for it. So I'm cool with that. I'm cool with a 128 again for right now until I get another one, and I'll run my games off of the Steam and off of the 256 micro pin. So, all right, guys, that's it for this edition of this episode. Thank you for listening to all of my ramblings right now. Let me know what you think. Continue to leave your comments. Thank you so much for your patience. I'm going to try to bring out some more videos concerning PC games coming up real soon. But I want to get some more content video out there for things that have not been addressed yet. So thank you again for your support. Leave a comment. Please subscribe to my videos. And I will continue to do my best and seeking other alternatives to expose on this fabulous system.